I'm gonna live, 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 until
It's a twisted web. We are not finished untangling it, not yet.
What is this? CSI KFC?
until I die.
Hello, cinema lovers of the world, and welcome to Shot of Film, a podcast where we dive deep into the abyss of cinema, one movie at a time. Today, we start off this series with the world's finest whodunit, Knives Out.
Nice intro.
Very well done.
That was good.
That was
Yes, very
not
good.
the second time we did that.
No.
Or maybe we're subverting your expectations. So anyway, who the gosh darn heck are we?
I'm Daniel Hudson.
I'm Nora Jones.
And I'm Jaron Gravely.
And guys, welcome to the new podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's like we haven't left.
So, for everybody who's going to be listening who has no idea what this is, now that we've completed our Pixar journey or caught up, we want to branch out and do new movies, the beyond, if as it were.
Yeah.
So what we've decided to do with this podcast, each week one of us will pick a theme, and the other person will pick a movie that fits in with that theme. So Jaron chose the theme for this podcast. No, wait.
That was me.
No,
Yeah.
you forced Nora to choose the theme you wanted.
No, she was like, I don't know what to pick, and I'm like, you could do whodunit.
Yeah. I
Nora
was
chose
fine with this choice.
Nora chose the theme Who Done It, and Jaron picked our film for the episode, which is Knives Out.
Yeah, it's a film I had been getting around to seeing, and I figured we'd seize the opportunity to watch it.
Yeah, the choice was pretty mutual because I also wanted to watch Knives Out. So
Yeah.
So
The
you
only
guys
other thing-
teamed up.
The only other option I considered was the first episode of Sherlock, but that's
I
really not a
also-
movie. Okay, question. Can we do TV episodes?
No, I don't think we
Mm.
should.
No, I don't think we should.
But will we do movies like that are based off of television series?
Yes.
You're asking because you want to do Steven Universe, the movie, aren't you?
Actually, I had a different movie in mind because it's on Netflix right now, and I almost rewatched it.
Okay.
Lupin the Third, The Castle of Cagliostro would be great.
I've been meaning to watch that.
I don't know.
And I've been on a Lupin kick lately, so
Okay, yeah, I think that's fine. We have
Okay,
to discuss
alright.
like the context of the series that maybe.
we'll
but
play it
I
by
don't
ear.
know.
Audience, we're still figuring this out ourselves.
Yeah, we only really decided we were doing this like 2 days ago. Even if Daniel and I had like preliminary ideas.
Yeah, it's been
One
we've
week
been
since you looked
figuring
at me. Something. 3 days since you laughed at me. Then come back. Sorry.
It's
What's
been
happening?
1 week since we left the house.
It's been 1 week since the quarantine.
Yeah. How's your social distancing going, by the way?
It's okay. I've left my house a couple of times. Just
You monster.
briefly. I know. I wasn't really around people though.
You should
Yeah, I'm
stay in the
failing.
house, like the family in this film, and
Yeah.
just get mad at each other.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm failing social distancing. Not really. Because I've only seen people like one at a time, and I'm not going out in big groups and hugging and spreading the disease everywhere, but I have gone out of my house to see people individually. Sorry, I'm scared I'll never see them again for months. Sorry.
Well, in those months of quarantine and self-isolation, we always have movies.
We always have movies.
We do.
All right, so to kick this off, because unlike our last podcast, I am hoping we can at least keep discussions around an hour. Because an hour and a half is a big ask of anyone.
Yeah. You know, it'd
So-
be great if we could get 45 minutes.
Not likely.
I don't think we'll be able to manage that, but
We
since
can
Nora,
try.
Nora, since you did the theme and Jaren picked the movie, I think it's only fair I get to do a brief summary. I don't want
Yeah.
to do full recaps, but
Yeah, those can take
but
a
I'll
while.
at least I'll introduce the film.
Good.
So Knives Out is a 2019 film written and directed by one Ryan Johnson. It stars, among many people, Jamie Lee Curtis, Ana de Armas, and Daniel Craig. And it's the essential pitch for this film was a classic whodunit with a modern twist. And the movie is about the Thrombys, a family whose patriarch is a famous mystery novel writer who seemingly dies of suicide one night. And it's a big question of, did somebody kill him for his money or not? And so the famous sleuth Benoit Blanc is called in by a mysterious person to solve the case. And that's your general idea.
Wow, you really do read it off Wikipedia, don't you? I went to Wikipedia this time. I followed you. I'm not fooled.
Good for you.
No, I'm so sad.
All
I
right,
thought I
so
was just pulling these summaries out of perfection. They're all Wikipedia.
It's
well, you know. So, guys, I saw this movie opening weekend in theaters, but you guys did not see it until we decided to do this episode. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts.
well, me personally, I loved it.
Oh, yeah, it was great. Jaren, do you want to go first on thoughts, or do you want me to?
Well, I took precisely 100 notes while watching it. So,
Oh boy.
I didn't do that.
like, step-by-step notes.
I took mental notes. So
There we go.
do you want to go through your 100 notes now, or do you want me to go through my not 100 notes?
No, let the lady go first.
Oh, thank you. Okay. First of all, I wanted to go see this in theaters, but it was too late by the time I was going to go see it. But I was told it was a horror movie. Like, I hadn't seen
What?
many. I hadn't seen many advertisements on it, but people told me it was a horror movie, and I was like, well, I don't really like horror movies, so I'm probably not going to go see that. And then I found out, like, when off Daniel's review of movie things, there's a video on the channel where he reviews movies. The Knives Out was a whodunit, and I was
Wait,
like,
hang on.
yes.
During, like, the throes of Les Mis, I was like, oh yeah, I want to go see that Knives Out. And you're like, what's that? I'm like, oh, it's a mystery whodunit movie.
Well, I was told that, but then I was also told it was a horror movie, like it was a mystery thriller kind of horror thing, and I was like, well, that sounds interesting, but I don't want to get scared.
Well, I don't know who told you this was a horror.
I don't either.
Yeah, it wasn't me. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either.
It
But-
is a thriller, but
Yeah.
But not even really. Okay, but y'all don't understand. Once I found out it was a whodunit, I was so mad I didn't see it in theaters because I am obsessed with mysteries and all that fun whodunit stuff, especially since I was little. Not kidding, my email is based off Nancy Drew. It's embarrassing, and yes, I've sent it to colleges. It's okay because I just haven't changed it yet. I had a freaking Nancy Drew birthday party when I was little.
Wait, tell me about this. I want to know.
Oh, oh no. I forgot. I forgot about this. The invitations was it was like a picture of Nancy Drew, like one of the book covers, but my mom pasted my face on it where Nancy Drew's face was.
Nice.
Oh. And we did a mystery clue hunt at the end. It was a box and it said come inside for cake and ice cream.
that's great.
That's
I know.
amazing.
You had a literal mystery box.
Yeah, I had a large crush on Benedict Cumberbatch for a long time just because he played Sherlock Holmes.
Of course you did. Oh no, the Super Hulock era.
Clue is my favorite board game.
Same here. Have you ever played Clue by yourself? It's a really fun experience.
Oh no, but I have Clue card version too. You didn't know it came in cards, did ya? It
I think we
does.
should all do a Skype Clue game.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, but anyway, my point is I'm obsessed with mysteries and watching them. Any TV version, like I'm talking anything, like freaking Father Brown. He's my OG.
I love Father Brown, man. My
Love
mother
Father
watches
Brown.
that.
Love Father Brown. But so yeah. So then when I found out this was a whodunit, I got really excited, and I like to try to figure them out while I'm watching them. I will say I didn't get the exact end, but I picked up on maybe half of it. So
Okay.
I was
Good.
proud of myself for that.
Oh, we should go ahead and say up front, spoilers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fair. This is a fairly recent movie.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Sorry. But I loved the way this movie story was told, and you actually know kind of what happened in the beginning, and it's really like you see the opposite end of it, because the person who technically was getting blamed for it the whole time was, when we were watching the beginning, I was like, oh, I bet it's her. And then they showed us that scene with, where it says everything that happened with the drugs that night, and I was like, okay, well, that was fast to realize I was right. And then it kept going. And then
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay. And but no, and then they got really good, and then I kept forming theories and things, and I almost had to rewind it once, because in the beginning when he's doing the interviews and he's just sitting in the back tapping the piano, I realized on the last one he was tapping it every time they lied, so I wanted to go back and watch everything they said when he tapped it. I thought that was interesting. And I was also so scared they were going to make Detective Blanc just like Sherlock Holmes. He is not just like Sherlock Holmes at all.
No.
Delightful.
Blanc's
little man.
characterization was one of the best things about this movie for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was great. Yeah.
I think Daniel Craig was robbed of a Best Supporting Actor nomination.
Oh, so badly.
Mm.
I
Uh,
think Ana de Armas was robbed of a Best Leading Actress nomination. And I think this movie was robbed of a Best Picture nomination.
Okay, I also thought Chris Evans did really good. I was proud.
Oh, yes, he
Good.
did.
He
All
was
right,
great.
so one of my notes was... Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I took exactly 100 notes. Where is it? Where did I put... Oh, yes. Note number 5. Wait, hang on. Oh, note 53, after Ransom's first introduced. Chris Evans playing a slimy jerk after years as Captain America is just the right turn. He's like a posh Lucas Lee, his character from Scott Pilgrim.
He was so good.
uh-huh.
And note number 5, seriously, Evans works so well as an antagonist / villain.
Yeah. I didn't even care that he like tried to kill her at the end. He was maybe my favorite character.
Yeah, and that was such a well set up twist with the prop knife.
I know.
Oh, I saw that coming, but I was glad they incorporated it in there.
Yeah.
I was waiting for them to use the prop knife because I thought they were gonna do it with his neck. Okay, because when he slit his throat, because honestly, I thought for a while maybe he faked his death, or that I knew from the beginning that the what is it? The medicines were switched. I didn't know it was that, but I was thinking he did it and planned his own death to then see which of his children would like try to get money or just to prove a point. But then like she saw him slit his throat, and I was like, okay, well maybe that was the
Yeah.
fake he was
Yeah, they-
referencing. But then I was like, no. And
They
so
they unambiguously closed that door.
yeah, I knew I could tell like obviously there was some way that the medicine had to be switched. That was my guess, and that he plotted it like the murder board mystery. And I knew that there had to be a man just because I was so proud of myself when the what's her face old lady said, "Hello, handsome, are you back again?" I'm like, she saw someone, people. That's a clue. She saw them.
Yeah.
And, so I didn't know it was Ransom though, and I didn't care. He was great. When he walked in with Biscoff, I loved him. You know, the Biscoff cookies that they give on the
Yep.
plane. She's had a
Yeah.
whole ton of them. She was really a queen.
How did I know you were going to say that?
Because everyone's a queen. Except for Corona. She's not a queen.
There we go. Nora has spoken.
Oh,
So,
the
guys,
dude abides.
so this movie's pretty interesting for a whodunit because it kind of switches genres on you.
It
Yeah,
really
it does.
does.
I
'Cause-
loved it.
That whole telling you everything quotes early on tricks you into thinking you know everything now, and then
Yeah.
it treats itself like a thriller where you know what's going on and you're on the edge of your seat for the characters.
Yeah.
But then it pulls a switch again at the very end to become a mystery once more.
Yeah.
It basically has its cake and eats it too, and it's the most amazing thing to watch play out.
It is the most delicious cake.
Well, you knew it was gonna switch back, but or at least I mean it sets it
It
up.
had
that way.
to, but
Yeah, it had to. But I loved it.
I am genuinely impressed with this movie.
It's what Murder on the Orient Express tried to do.
Well, yeah, because Ryan Johnson was deliberately inspired by.
by Agatha Christie.
Agatha Christie. Yeah.
I love Murder on the Orient Express though, and I actually thought for a second that this movie was going to take a bit of that turn and everyone was slightly involved somehow, but it didn't, and I actually liked it better.
Yeah, all the family members, despite having their own vices, were all innocent in the death. Despite, and even Benoit Blanc even brings it up, they all have reason to want to kill him.
They're all weak sauce though,
Yeah.
as the lieutenant reminds. Lakeith Stanfield's character reminds us.
Oh, he was great. I loved him.
He was a really good straight man, but Trooper Wagner, man.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite, one of my favorite passages of dialogue in the movie was Trooper Wagner. Trooper Wagner?
No,
No. he pauses for like a second.
oh my gosh. And can we just talk about Daniel Craig's accent?
Okay, I was not sure about it at first. I was
CSI KFC.
I was like, why this accent? Like, why is this accent happening? Because he started talking, and I went, what? What was that? Was that a bad British? Like, I was so confused.
He is British. He's James Bond.
I know. That's what I was wondering. I was like, have you gone downhill? What happened? And then he kept talking. I'm like, oh, you're Louisiana Popeyes.
More or less, it's not the accent you would expect for a character like this,
No, that threw me off at first.
but it's so much fun watching him just monologue about donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like Foghorn Leghorn.
And like he's really smart, but he's also kind of clueless.
Oh yeah, like he picks up on so much stuff, and then other stuff. It's just like Marta's hiding evidence in the background, and he's just staring at Creighton Ann in the window.
That is the best
scenes.
scene. The best scene is where Marta walks through and she covers up all her evidence, because I thought that's so cool, because usually that's the stuff when you're watching these whodunits that you miss, because you only see the detective's point of view. You don't necessarily get to see how they covered it up, except for Ransom at the end. You don't see that stuff until it's replayed. But I loved that. I thought that was so unique. And I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, the first time watching through, I had a lot of like real tension regarding that whole stuff because Marta's not a criminal.
Oh no.
No.
And
She- and
she could have
as Blanc brings up,
like,
she is a kind person.
Mhm.
yeah, it's oh my gosh, she tries so hard to cover up her accidental killing,
Yeah.
and it's like
She
she's no
didn't even
criminal.
do it.
It's like poor Marta.
The acting in this movie is just beautiful.
Oh, they got They had so many amazing people together.
I'm genuinely impressed. Like I keep saying that, but good grief, like
Yeah.
this is one of, if not the best movie I've seen in years. It is a revelation. I
I've seen-
believe in cinema again.
Okay, I've seen some really good movies these last few, like just this last week, because I started like watching like highly recommended movies I've heard, and it's been great. This is one of them. The other one we can't watch on the podcast.
Yeah. For our listeners, Jaren has asked us not to do R-rated movies, so do not expect any of those to appear.
But anyone that's listening should go watch Call Me by Your Name. It is a beautiful movie, and it's one of the best cinematically shot movies I've ever seen. So go watch it. And sorry, back to Knives Out.
Back to Knives Out.
Back to Knives Out.
Yeah. The only note I had is, I don't remember the actor's name, but I wanted him to have a bigger part. The youngest son. That
Oh,
they
the
take,
all
like-
right troll.
Yes.
The Nazi child masturbating in the bathroom.
Okay, no, it's just because I love that actor. He was in It, and he's so talented. I just wanted him to have.
He is very talented.
I just wanted a bigger part. Oh, but I was shocked of like this A-list cast. They're all famous. It started. I'm like, oh, famous, real famous, Okay.
Yeah, and part of that is to throw you off because a lot of the times the most famous person ends up being the villain.
Yeah. I
But they're
mean,
all
Chris
super
Evans, you know, in the biggest movie franchise of all time.
True, but you also had Daniel Craig with James Bond, which is one of the most popular franchises in history. You have
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Christopher Plummer, for goodness
Christopher
sake.
Plummer. One of my notes was, see if I find. I wrote note number 30. After Blanc says, "Does having a kind heart make you a good nurse?" My note was, Daniel Craig is making this look easy. Note number 35 was, Christopher Plummer makes this look very easy. When he's describing in detail everything, he's manipulative and he's, you know, a bit callous, but he's also very kind and very warm-hearted, and he does such an amazing job blending those two together.
Yeah, like you could tell with Harlan Thrombey's little murder plan, like it was not fair to put Marta in that position, but you understand
No.
why he did it. He was genuinely concerned for her.
Yeah. And the intricacies of everything, including when he calculated how fast it would take an ambulance to get there, it was all from his experience as a crime writer.
Yeah, the plots would just pop into his head, fully formed.
That's
Yeah,
why I thought he had planned it himself, because he was acted so calm and had everything planned so well. I just thought it was all like a ruse or like he really did die, but he planned it himself somehow and like switched the bottles and it would be uncovered.
Yeah, but they do a good way of justifying it, you know, in the film with that whole. It's just how he writes.
It's heartbreaking that he could have lived, though.
I know.
I know.
That crushed me.
There was some genuine tragedy in there as well.
That was really upsetting. I was also really mad that I didn't figure out it was Ransom, because as soon as he walked out, I was like, dang it, Nora. Like, because then I thought about all, like, the clues they dropped about him, like, when he walks in and the dogs are barking, and then just some of the things he says to Marcia at the table, it's, like, right there, and I'm like,
Only the help calls me Hugh. Hugh did
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I picked up
so
on
good.
the damn thing in the window. I should have known Ransom handsome. Like I was mad at myself. I was like, dang, I was close. I got close. It's okay.
Yeah. Everything in this movie was deliberate, and I love it.
I love
The
it when
screenplay.
Oh yeah, this probably is Rian Johnson's best screenplay. This is coming from
Yeah.
somebody who's seen all his films. Because usually they're not as tight as this. Usually there's always a little bit of flab. You can see that in Looper or Last Jedi, even Brick to some extent.
Yeah.
But I know you guys don't know. Like, only Jaren has seen another Rian Johnson film, and that's The Last Jedi. So
Now I'm familiar with Brick. I've not seen it, but I'm familiar with it because I watched Austin McConnell's video on it. I very much recommend Austin McConnell. He's a fantastic YouTuber. Go check him out. He did a video on Brick a while back. I think it was even before The Last Jedi came out. So I highly recommend Austin McConnell. I want to watch Brick now because it looks like something I would very much be into.
yeah, I think it's rated R though, so we probably won't get it on here.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
like in my own time,
It might still be on Netflix.
it might. Oh, and speaking of, there was a Joseph Gordon-Levitt cameo in this movie.
Yes, there was. Nora, since you probably don't know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt has been in every single Rian Johnson film.
Including The Last Jedi as like a alien.
So he's like, what's his face that's in every single Pixar movie for voicing?
Yeah, like John
Yeah.
Ratzenberger.
Yeah.
And I just
But
want to
in this
say, I
movie-
love Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's a great actor, but also he seems like actually a pretty cool guy. I love his not down to earth. What do you call it? What's his thing online? Hit record. Yeah. He's a creative. I admire him.
He's a cool dude. But his cameo in this one was just a voice cameo. He was on that cop show that Marta's sister was watching. That ridiculous one, like,
Yeah.
we have the nanny cam footage.
Oh.
That over the top nonsense.
Yeah. This is brilliant.
One of my favorite things though is how they just threw all like the classic mystery references in there, like Miss Marple, Agatha Christie, Clue.
Murder,
like they,
She Wrote.
yeah, Sherlock Holmes. Like they just threw them in there.
I know.
Yeah,
this-
literally right before he said, right before he calls Marta Watson, I'm like, Daniel Craig would make a really good Sherlock Holmes. And then he calls her, all right, Watson. And I'm like, wait a minute.
He says the game is afoot.
Yeah, like after that, yeah.
He
Yeah.
says that so much, and this time
he
I
does.
noticed now it's because he noticed the drop of blood on Marta's shoe, and he's just kind of fading for a little bit.
So deliberate.
See, he's so smart, but like he's a little everywhere.
Yeah, the detective he reminds me most of is Dirk Gently.
Yeah.
From the Douglas Adams series.
Yeah.
Dirk Gently, Nora, since you might not know,
I know.
is something of a holistic detective. They believe that everything is connected, so chase any like loose thread because it would lead you
Yeah.
back to the main
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the scene I find most underrated in this film is also when he just kind of like sits down with Great Nana and is like, "Hey, you
Love that.
probably know something, but tell me in your own time."
Yeah.
And he
The-
just kind of waits there.
The cinematography in that scene is fantastic.
I
Oh, the
love that.
cinematography of this whole movie.
Ryan Johnson is just a phenomenal director. And
Okay,
I know
well,
people
let's
want
give
to
some
like
credit.
crucify me for saying,
Let's give some credit though to Steve Yedlin, the
yeah, his
cinematographer.
cinematographer. Yeah.
This whole movie was shot on digital.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
I thought it was shot in film.
yeah. Steve Yedlin developed a mathematical formula to plug into basically digital LUTs to make it look like it's shot on film.
Wow.
Yeah, half of The Last Jedi was film and half was digital. That was him experimenting with this. And
Yeah,
now
because I know he was the cinematographer on The Last Jedi.
yeah, so he perfected it with this movie.
No, I like the cinematography and directing and costuming. I'd say costuming just because the
Oh
color
gosh, the costuming is so good in this movie.
it was
Yeah.
so good. because
Everybody talks about the sweaters Chris Evans wears.
yeah.
Like, everybody has such just like Benoit Blanc's, just like suspenders over his little rolled up sleeves, and
Yeah.
Christopher Plummer wears like this pink shirt in a few scenes, and it's adorable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
It-
love
it-
the costuming. They almost try to make everything slightly look kind of bubbly over the top with some of their dressing and some of the scenery of the house, but then it also has like it's like I can't explain it. Like that tone plus the actual movie Clue's tones had a baby and made this because
Yeah.
Clue has like those darker mystery kind of dramatic but satire scenes, but then they managed to put in this like colorful backwash that makes it sort of theatrical as well. Like it's really obvious on the advertising poster for this, and I thought the whole thing was going to kind of be, how they shoot Series of Unfortunate Events on Netflix. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. And I very much like that show.
Yeah, and how they shoot that with all the very kind of colorful satire.
It did
theatrical-
remind me a bit of that, actually.
It reminded me of that, but there was seriousness to it as well, and it was a really nice combination.
Yeah.
Works with this movie, which is very funny, but also
It is.
is doing serious things.
Yes, that's why
Okay,
it
question.
was so perfect.
When Marta throws up, did it gross you out?
Not until it was on Chris Evans' face.
Every time it happened, I got a little nauseous. I don't know.
I
I have like a response, stuff like that.
It never bothered me, but that's just because I've seen grosser stuff on film.
Well,
I
I'm saying even in real life, when people I have a sensitive stomach. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I thought it was an interesting choice to make her throw up every time someone lied, because that's such like a
Well, every time
fiction-
she lied.
Yeah.
or every time she lied, yeah. I thought it was such like a fictional concept, kind of, and there were a few of those in there, but then they'd have very realistic concepts as well. So I thought that was
I like it.
interesting. It worked really well. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure about it first. I was like, okay, and I think that's what threw LeBlanc off, because he knew about the shoe and he was expecting just for her to, if she really did throw up, just come out and lie with it. Or
Like
come
he knows about the shoe. Like he finds out about that so early. The reason he doesn't like haul her off to jail immediately or anything is because he's more interested in the mystery.
yeah.
That's why he
Who
like,
had me?
yeah, he puts in so many softball questions for Marta early on. Just trying to get a feel for everything.
Yeah. Nora, do you know what that means?
But yes, I
A
know. what
softball question. Okay.
Yeah, I know what those are.
And then
Daniel and I took journalism class together, so
I mean, I'll tell you if
it's
I
a
don't know.
common phrase. But
Yeah, I know what softball questions are.
but like I really
sorry, teacher.
even though
It's okay.
the puking was like a goofy little touch, like I liked it because it added something new to the scenes. Like, well, Marta can't lie without having a very obvious tell. So
Yeah.
how
It
does
was-
she get out of a situation if somebody asks her a straightforward question?
There's very much a tone of I don't want to say campy, but I don't want to say quirky either. I don't know.
It's a heightened reality. Like,
Yeah.
Yes, that's
it's
perfect.
not the
That's
real world,
exactly what it is.
but it contains elements that are plausible in the real world.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. That's perfect.
Yeah.
The scene that kind of changed it all for me was when LeBlanc flips the coin and he's interviewing Marta, and it goes through step by step how it happened actually with the medicine and her injecting into his arm, because I thought she was just telling him that, and I was like, oh, dang. So are we gonna figure out who slit his neck from here? Is that the mystery of who actually killed him? But then you see she doesn't tell him. I'm like, oh, so it's gonna be that kind of movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this movie had a lot of things. It reminded me a lot of the good of The Last Jedi, particularly in the idea
Makes
of
sense. Same writer director.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he clearly has themes he likes to revisit. or maybe not even themes, but like thematic elements, so to speak, because the same themes are not present in either. But the idea of perspective, one of my favorite parts of The Last Jedi, and I hate constantly bringing it up in this because I want to talk about this movie, but I think it's important to consider filmmakers' other works too. Anyway, the scene of Luke discussing how the stuff with Ben went down, how we see it from his perspective, then we see it from Ben's perspective, and then we see
and everything
the
keeps changing.
truth. Yeah. When I saw that, it reminded me of like a Rashomon, like, sort of, crime angle type thing.
Yeah, memory and the changing of memory is also, like you were saying, a big thing in Knives Out.
Yeah.
There are so many little touches, like in those opening interviews when like people are recalling sharing the cake with Harlan.
Yeah.
Like in one scene, it was, Jamie Lee Curtis and her character's husband, and the other, it was Michael Shannon's character and his family around him instead. And like they're all remembering things from their own perspective.
Yeah.
In one
That's how
scene,
it works.
when Ransom's storming out, when it's remembered by Michael Shannon, he just leaves, but it's remembered by Jamie Lee Curtis's character because she's his mom and sees the best in him. She remembers him as giving a little slice of cake to Great Nana.
Oh.
Yep.
And that was used also just to make people look like jerks.
Yeah.
You remember the first time we see them running through the events of the night, and like, Michael Shannon's character. Gosh, I'm trying to remember all their names. There were so many.
It was Walter.
Wasn't that?
I
Jamie Lee
actually
Curtis?
remembered like most
No,
of
that
the
was
names in this movie. I was really proud of myself. I don't remember
the
any
Trump
of that.
supporter one was like Richard, I think.
Richard,
Walter
okay.
was Michael Shannon.
So, well,
It was Richard and Linda, Walt and his wife, and then yeah, those are the ones you're talking about right now.
yeah. So like, in that first time around, it's like when Marta leaves, she doesn't say anything, and he just checks the time. But then when you see it from Marta's perspective, she specifically mentioned that it was midnight, and he checks the time. And the fact that he didn't recall that really shows that he doesn't pay attention to her, and nobody in the family pays attention to her.
I didn't notice any of that. I want to watch it.
Yeah, rewatching this movie is a treat. There's so much to pick up on.
I think rewatching anything that's like mystery or whodunit, there's always just more to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and this
that's what I'm
movie's
looking forward to.
exception.
Unless it's a bad whodunit, because then there's no point. But but yeah. Can y'all hear my dog in the background? He keeps
Yes.
here.
What is Bear trying to do?
Bear, stop it! He's downstairs. It's sad that y'all can hear him. Stop
See,
it,
as
you-
playful as the German Shepherds in this movie.
I love the dogs in this movie.
They're so cute, and they keep bringing back the piece of the trellis.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I could see them bringing it back, and I just didn't want them to, but I knew they were going to.
They were good dogs, though. They didn't like Ransom.
They were Doug's.
Oh,
Yeah, I really want to rewatch the movie, especially because about halfway through, I was thinking Inspector LeBlanc is kind of dumb, and I'm sort of confused by his character because he seems like
He
this smart,
has
world renowned. But then once you find out in the end, he was just holding back like the drop of blood on the shoe because you knew it was going to come up because they zoomed in on it intentionally in one
they
scene.
called big attention to it.
Yeah, they called
Yeah.
big attention to it. And so you're like wondering when that's going to show up. And you're like, okay, so he does know what's going on. So now I want to rewatch it and see the things he specifically says to more get stuff out of people because they make that more obvious that he's doing that in the beginning. Especially when
Yeah.
Linda's like, I'm not going to call you out to my family and disgrace my baby brother. And then Richard's like, oh, yeah, he sucks.
Walt doesn't run. Shh.
he has his methods.
Yeah.
Blanc does.
I think he keeps that method pretty consistently throughout the film, though, because it seems like he can be pretty manipulative to his advantage. But he's also very light kind of person, you know, with
He
his
seems to have
donut-
integrity.
Yeah, with his music he's got playing in while a murder's happening behind him and the ambulance is pulling up.
Yeah.
Benoit Blanc.
He's not a Sherlock Holmes in that
Oh,
he's
so
the smartest
funny.
guy in the room, but he's not quite an everyman either.
Yeah, I'm so glad he wasn't another Sherlock Holmes. I hate it when they try to replicate like a Sherlock Holmes character because there's only one Sherlock Holmes. You need to stop. You can't do it. Are you Conan Arthur Doyle? No, you're not.
Boom.
Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made a pretty unique detective with him, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited
Now
to
there's already. Oh yeah, I think you're getting right where I'm getting. There's already a sequel, Greenlight.
Oh, for Knives Out?
Yeah.
It's
How are they gonna make a sequel?
More like a. It's gonna be more like a spin-off. I mean, it's gonna be another Benoit
It's-
Blanc case.
it's basically another Benoit Blanc movie, kind of
Okay.
like how Sherlock Holmes just has multiple books, or Hercule Poirot has multiple mysteries he solves through multiple books. Sherlock Holmes.
Good.
They're basically just doing that with Benoit Blanc.
Also, I just want to clarify, I'm not a fake fan. I'm not a fake fan. I know Arthur Conan Doyle's name. I have a bad habit of switching Conan and Arthur. Not a fake fan. Don't come at me.
It's okay. It feels like that name could be a tongue twister if you tried.
Yeah, I'm bad with names. Go listen to the other podcasts. Don't come at me at Sherlock Holmes. I will come at you and attack you with facts. Thank you. I love Sherlock Holmes so much.
So, I have to point out one character touch I really liked. In our third act, which is basically just explaining the mystery and indulging so much, which is great.
Yes.
Benoit Blanc stops for a moment, just kind of to point out to Marta, you are a good nurse, you know? And I really appreciated that character moment because throughout this whole movie, it's not super apparent, but Marta is definitely struggling with the fact that she thinks she killed Harlan.
Yeah.
And it's probably been weighing on her in a lot of ways, possibly even just like calling her medical knowledge into question, because if it's her screw up. So I think the fact that he took the time to say that was Benoit Blanc acknowledging that she needed that in that moment.
Yeah.
It warmed my heart the first time around. It warmed my heart the second time around.
Even though their relationship is ironically based off lies throughout most of the movie, I love the relationship that they have because I think he understands really more of what's going on, obviously, than he lets on.
yeah.
with it. And the way he treats her, at first I was just thinking, what are you doing? But now I get it. And
Yeah.
yeah. That's one of the reasons I want to rewatch it as well, just to see their relationship and how he handles it. Also, the ending scene where they bring back the coffee cup,
Yes.
my rule.
Oh my god.
Perfect.
I cackled in the theater.
Yeah.
It
That
was
great.
brilliant.
What do y'all think she does?
It's her house.
Yeah. She can do what she wants. Get rid of all those losers.
I'm thinking she
does
doesn't
give
help any
money
of them.
back.
Yeah.
You don't think she helps any?
They're all a bunch of jerks.
Oh, I think she helps them.
They don't even know what country her family is from.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
she. at
she's
least
from
helped
Ecuador.
Meg.
She's from Brazil. She's from.
She at least helped Meg. With her
She
school.
might, but Meg also.
Sold her out and
Well, her
Yeah.
whole family pressured her to do it.
Yeah, but Meg still did it.
yeah.
I
She
also
could have
like
stood up for
the
her
actress.
friend.
I don't remember her name, but I also like the actress that played Meg.
Yeah, everyone was so good.
Yeah, everyone was. There was
Top
not
notch.
there was not a weak link in the cast.
I just want to point out, though, a lot of what Michael Shannon did in the ransom scene was improv. You want some more cookies, Hugh?
Yeah,
Maybe
he was
Harlem will
great.
get a glass of milk in his will.
Ransom was just an entitled little snothead.
He was my favorite character.
Oh, good.
I've never really I've never like been like a villain's my favorite character,
Excuse me.
other than Lotso Huggin Bear. But he's not a villain, so that doesn't count.
Oh, I walked right into that, didn't I?
Yeah, well, I remember when the trailer first dropped, and I didn't watch it because I wanted to go in completely blind, but
Yeah, so did I.
everybody talked about the scene where Chris Evans just kept telling people to eat shit, and
Yeah.
they started calling him Crass Evans.
Yeah, he did that, and I was just like, Queen, you're a queen.
Yeah.
Also,
They actually- They originally changed that scene because at first it was a bunch of F-bombs, but then Ryan Johnson was like, no, I want
I
people
need
to
a
watch with
PG-13 rating.
Yeah. There were only 2 F-bombs in the film, so it got a PG-13.
I thought the rules you only have one.
That's the general rule of thumb, but they sometimes stretch it because it doesn't make sense to give this movie R rating if it only has
Yeah,
2.
it really isn't an R-rated, yeah. Because there's the discretion shot when Harlan slits his throat. Really well done discretion shot, by the way.
I was not expecting that. That he really slit his own throat. I was not expecting that it was an actual suicide. That was shocking, and that scene got me. I was like, oh, no!
Yeah, he actually went through with it. He was a little bit caught up in the high of being a part of an actual murder mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like his life's work finally came together.
And also, I don't think it was irresponsible for him to give everything to Marta. She seemed like the only one other
no.
than Linda.
That really
that-
cared about him, yeah.
Yeah, other than Linda. I actually felt bad for Linda because she
Okay,
really,
yeah. And
She
Jamie
really
Lee Curtis. I
cared
love
about
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Well,
Yeah.
luckily for her, she has a business and her husband signed a prenup. So,
Also,
Yeah.
her
So-
doing the match at the end of the film because she says you have to play his games, you have to understand his games, and then she finds out about the affair by playing his
Yep.
games.
The next time we see him, he has a black eye.
Does he really? I did not see that.
Yeah, in the last shot.
After she
Uh,
sees it, they come back to the last shot. He's got a black eye, so she straight up decked him.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's funny. I think she helped. I think she, like, this was my guess because I don't know. I thought she should keep the business and the house, obviously, but I figured she would at least, like, divide some of the money up between them. Because some of them need, like, Meg with her schooling, like, really needed that.
Well, Meg got that one last tuition check. So,
Yeah. I don't know.
But it's something I noticed even more my second time through. Like, none of them are good people.
No. And the thing about often in real life, this is a real life thing about like having elderly relatives. Certain people will try to scam and swindle your elderly relatives to get their money, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the only one who deserves anything is Great Nana.
That's what I was literally just
Yeah.
about to say.
Absolutely.
That dramatic scene where he was talking to Great Nana, every time it cut to her just staring off, I audibly just went, Queen.
Yeah.
Like,
They're like, how old is she? We don't know.
I strive to
It's
be
like-
the Queen that Great Nana is.
Nana, you want something to eat? To eat? Well, she already ate the whole salmon spread. It's fine.
There, stop it! You're a monster.
The character of Joni, I'm about 90% sure is some kind of deliberate Gwyneth Paltrow parody.
Quite possibly.
Because Gwyneth
I know-
Paltrow is a charlatan and a huckster who sells made-up crap.
I know the Nazi child, alt-right troll, was actually just based on people Ryan Johnson ran into after making The Last Jedi.
Oh, I had that exact thought.
Yep,
I just wanted him to have more lines.
I think it was more funny him just sitting there on the phone.
He is also a queen. Also one of my.
You already established
Oh.
everyone's queen.
Okay, but some people are higher queens than others.
Sounds like an absolute monarchy right there.
Well, duh. That's how the queendom works.
Well, I'll break out my guillotine and
Oh, well,
French Revolution joke. Sorry.
Don't get dark on me there. Jeez, gosh, we are not a dark queen. We're not being the queen of hearts right now. No. That's not what
I
we're
was
going.
trying to make a history joke.
We got it,
you
but
have
it
the
was
gall
too
to
dark.
joke about France.
It was too dark.
Daniel, the absolute pain that you brought on me. Like bread.
Stop making Les Mis references.
Wasn't specifically a Les Mis reference.
You know what it was.
Oh my gosh. So, I also want to point out, just the prop game in this movie was on point.
Absolutely.
Like the Wheel of Knives was its own amazing thing, and they got some good visuals with it.
Yeah.
But just the opening scene where we're just going through the house, the music's playing, and you just see all these little knickknacks and stuff Harlan's
Oh,
collects over the
I would so live there.
Yeah. They even
Yeah.
say it in the movie, but the set is very Clue-esque.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
no!
he's-
They say it in the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, he lives in a clue
that's what
board.
I said. That's what
Oh,
I said. They
I
say
thought
it
you
in
said they
the-
didn't. My bad.
No, they even say it in the movie, but like they did a really good job designing it like that.
Yeah.
I wish there had been more passages in some way, maybe though. But then that probably would have been too close to the actual Clue movie.
Yeah. They
The one with Tim
they got
Curry.
some stuff in there.
I love that movie. That was my favorite movie for the longest time.
Which ending though?
Ooh. The one I watched first was the one with Miss White, was the murderer. That was like the one that it played first. But then I think I like the one where Tim Curry gets shot on the side and he's like, "Oh, you got me." And then he looks down, he's like, "You got me good." And then his head just goes down. So, yeah, you know.
Is Tim Curry a queen? Does he meet the
Tim
queen
Curry
criteria?
is such a queen. Don't even.
He is like
question
no, he's an empress. He
Okay,
is.
no.
Don't try to make that a thing.
Don't no. He's just a queen of queens. Like he's up there with Shane Dawson, the Queen of England, Great Nana.
You see, before all you Zoomers came around, people mine at Daniel's age will remember Shane Dawson from like his old content.
Okay,
Mm.
I've seen the old content, I've seen the new content, and Shane's a queen. I love Shane. All of it.
Good for you.
All
Good
of
for
it.
you.
All of it. All of it. Don't disrespect Queen Shane. Ever. Ever.
Fine. We'll go back to the queens in this movie.
Okay.
The moment
Hi,
that
Ana de Armas. If you're listening to this, I'm Jaron Gravely, and I don't have a girlfriend. And
okay, I do have to say this one thing. Like I was enjoying Ransom a lot when he first popped in, but the scene that really endeared me to him when he was like, "I know you puke when you lie, and you're gonna tell me the truth because you just ate a whole plate full of baked beans."
yeah. Was this movie deliberately set in like Boston because of Chris Evans as a Bostonian?
Oh, I think Ryan Johnson said he just wanted that New England feel to it.
Yeah. Once all this virus mess is over, there's still so many places I like want to see. I really want to go to like New England. I have a friend who lives in Maine. Hi, Hannah, if you're listening to this, I don't think you are, but
I would like to visit that area too. This was a real house. We could visit the Knives Out house.
Oh, so cool. That'd be like a
Yeah.
neat little.
Is it really?
trip.
What's the
Yeah. They found a real house and they stocked it with props and stuff.
love?
That's awesome. Well, it reminded me early on during the interviews and stuff. It reminded me of like watching a play almost. So I love acting. Like I love watching good acting.
Acting.
I can't watch bad acting. Like I'll turn off the movie. I can't.
Ooh, what's an example of a movie of bad acting? I want to know.
There's a lot of them. I don't know. I can't think of any like specific right now. Oh, I could think of a play. I could think of some plays I've seen, and I could think of some TV. Any like Riverdale-y kind of tea shows bound to be bad.
Yeah, nice.
But the first season was really good, and you know some people just like it just because it's so entertaining. The first few seasons of Once Upon a Time were good and went downhill. You usually see it in TV. There's some
Way downhill. I think I.
you usually see it in TV, but there's some movies with like some real questionable acting, but like not the. Oh, I'm sorry. The acting in the Star Wars prequels are trash. Like not all of it.
Oh,
not
yeah.
all of it, not all of it. But what's her face?
Whoa, brave new opinion.
Queen Oompa Loompa or whatever.
Natalie Portman. She's a great actress.
Well, she was rough. She did,
Anakin, you're breaking my heart. I like the prequel. Okay, all right. I like Revenge of the Sith. I love Revenge of the
okay,
Sith.
the third one, she was on point. Like she picked it up. But the first one, homegirl. What happened? Like
She's like a
What?
15-year-old girl hitting on a 10-year-old boy, and it's really awkward.
yeah, and then I don't know. And then Luke's mom. Do you have emotions, sweetie? Like, I'm sorry, that was just one of the
Yes,
most.
me.
Well, no, me, she don't. Like,
No. Her
She
name
is
was-
Anakin's mother.
yeah, I know. I got what you were saying. I'm just saying she.
We're talking more about Star Wars again than Knives Out. Uh-oh.
And
I mean,
gently
I think
related.
I can think of other things, but that was just one of the more recent ones I've watched where they
Watch
struggle.
The Last Jedi. It's the best Star Wars movie that's not 4 or 5. I love
Well,
The Last Jedi, and
I'm
people
not
want to kill me for...
I'm not done with the third prequel one where Darth Vader's like becoming Darth Vader, but it's really
the
good.
one... I love that one. I love Revenge of the Sith a whole
Yeah,
lot.
it's really good. Her acting got good.
I think it's just George Lucas's direction got better. And speaking
Yeah.
of direction,
Ha!
this movie
Yeah.
has a good director. Very good direction.
That blue hedgehog again, of all places.
Sonic?
When when I said, ha, it reminded me of, you're not even good enough to be my fake.
Hmm.
Anybody else? Sonic?
Ugh,
No.
yeah.
I haven't seen Sonic the movie yet. I want to.
I haven't either. I had a friend that wants to see it, but
I haven't, but don't expect me to choose it if that's the theme.
I'm not.
Well, I mean, it's not even out on Blu-ray or digital yet, so
I'm
I
not.
think we're good. In the wake of this virus, a lot of movies are coming out on digital early.
That's true.
Yeah, Onward is out on digital now. That's nuts.
They just put
Yeah.
Cats out on digital.
Oh, but no, like stuff that's in the theater right now is now available on digital.
Oh, and that's
On-
not the movie I was thinking of that I mentioned earlier for our so bad, but you have to say nice things about it. That's not what I was thinking. But I will be watching it.
You just gave me an idea though.
Uh,
Horrible
I-
idea.
I have the best idea, and I think y'all should let me pick the movie for that one.
Okay.
All right.
Well, since we're already talking about that, I think we've gotten through a lot of our Knives Out discussion, to be honest. We've managed
me
to stay pretty on
too.
topic for a long time.
Yeah, should we go ahead and like discuss what the topics are for our?
Yes, so we have a bunch of themes. More can always be added.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
I'll
I had
read off
one
all
I
the
wanted to
themes,
add.
and then Jaren, you can pick our theme for the next one, and then I'll pick a movie.
That's right.
So, Animaniacs, any animated movie,
Animaniacs.
black and white,
I love Animaniacs.
any black and white movie, The Bard, Any adaptation or work heavily inspired by a Shakespeare play.
Yeah.
Lion King 2019, baby.
Oh, I misunderstood that. I thought we were just doing a Shakespearean movie because there's so many.
Well, it could be anything heavily inspired by Shakespeare, and The Lion King is heavily inspired by Hamlet.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
but like, is it only movies like inspired by? Like, it can't be like a Shakespearean movie.
Like a direct
It could be a
adaptation.
play that's just straight up a Shakespeare thing.
Okay, like, see,
Okay.
that's what I was thinking. Just because.
You're gonna make us watch the Mel Gibson Hamlet, aren't you?
No, I wasn't actually.
Okay. Continuing on with our themes, respect the classics, any film from before 1970.
Mm.
Golden Age, any film from the 1970s. Around the World in 80 Minutes or more. It's for international films. Baby, don't hurt me.
Just look at Twitter. Harvey Weinstein has coronavirus.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Baby, Don't Hurt Me. That's romance films. For your consideration, that's something that's been nominated or won Best Picture. Everything's Chrome. That's for sci-fi movies or movies that take place in the future.
I thought you said everything's Corona at first. I don't know.
No.
I was like, I mean, you're not wrong, but isn't it a little bit too soon for that movie scene?
Yeah, it's too soon. Give 'em the Reboot. This would be a double feature, a movie and its a remake or reboot or whatever.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Super Duper. That's for superhero and or comic book movies. So Bad It's Good. This would be watching a bad movie, but we have to say nice things about it.
Ha ha ha.
Fantastic Fantasy for fantasy films. This War of Mine for war films. That might have to go away because I don't think there are any war movies that are rated below R.
Unless you count Rogue One, because everyone's like, "Oh, it's the first Star Wars movie with a war in it."
Oh wait, actually, I can think of one. Does it actually have to be like fighting scenes, or can it be a subject that's revolved around the war?
Revolving around war
That's
style.
Oh, then I've got
that's a good idea.
Okay.
I've got one then.
And then
Brilliant.
last and not least, Whodunit for mystery films.
Yeah,
And
we might end up doing this genre again.
Yeah.
Wait, we can do genres more than once?
I think so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like you can only pick a theme once. We could do a theme several times in a row if you guys were masochistic enough.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I've got a war one. I've got a war one that we could do.
Okay.
Let's do 13.
Well, for now, Jaren's picking the theme, and then it'll be my pick for movie. So
Okay.
Jaren,
I
What's
am a little anxious. Let me go through it again just to be sure. I'm going with. Give him the reboot.
ooh,
What's that one?
that's the double feature. We have to
Ooh.
watch a movie and its reboot / remake.
Okay, there's a few obvious choices for that one, but I want to see what you go with. Are you gonna do you say now or do you like think about it?
I would like to know pretty soon.
Well, my plan is to come up with it on this episode. So if you guys want to like do your closing thoughts on Knives Out while I figure out.
Okay.
To cite Daniel's Letterboxd review of Knives Out, back from November when it came out, Daniel referred to a movie as a magic trick. Ryan Johnson is a magician. That's all I have to say. It's that good. I really enjoyed it. It is on my list of like favorite movies.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yes, this is also one of my favorite movies now. I love Whodunit. I love mystery. This was great. It was unique. Chris Evans is a queen, and he made me want to eat Biscoff because he had a whole package of Biscoff cookies, and they looked delicious. And that was all.
They did look so good.
They really did. He really sold me on them. He should do an advertisement just for Biscoff because I would buy them. He sold them.
So, you're on an airplane. You need cookies. That's the
Yeah.
Captain America PSA
Yeah.
from Spider-Man.
You can't be Captain America without Biscoff. That's what he can do. That'll be the commercial.
All right, Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel, we
Okay.
stalled for.
Yeah, you stalled for 30 seconds. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Gave
All
him
right,
so much
I'm
time.
thinking, I'm thinking what we'll do is the 1960 film Ocean's 11
Ooh,
and then the
okay.
2001 film Ocean's 11.
I've actually been wanting to see that.
I've never seen it.
I've seen
Neither have I.
I've seen the 2001 Ocean's 11 a while back, but I've never seen the 1960 version. So
You totally went past my guesses. I was thinking it would either be Parent Trap, A Star is Born, or, well, this was my hopeful wish, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
that would have been good.
There was
Maybe.
a remake of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, it's called the Double Picture Show. Yeah, and they do it with I can't remember. Well, Ryan McCartan is Brad, and what's her name? I can't remember. There's a bunch of. It's really good, the remake, and they have Tim Curry in it, but he's the narrator in it
Okay.
in the remake.
Anyway, so I'll have to find a way to stream those movies.
Yeah, we will. I think Ocean's 11 might still be on Netflix, but I don't know about the 1960s version.
Okay.
But when we get to that, we'll be able to do our next episode.
Yeah, the
my
reason why I
closing
chose
thoughts?
that one was. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. My closing
Reason-
thoughts on Knives Out real fast. This is a perfect cast with a perfect script doing perfect things on a perfect set. Boom.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Do I sing
Nah,
it?
nah.
Do I sing us out now?
Well, Jaron, did you have one last thing to say?
Oh, all I was saying was the reason why I chose the double feature was because I wanted to do something challenging right out of the gate. So watching 2 movies instead of 1. Haha.
Woohoo.
Is this going to be a weekly thing like last time? Because last time we obviously had a time limit, a date to reach, and we did. I'm still astounded we were able to do that.
Well, I'd like to do it once a week, but if it
Yeah.
takes us a while to figure out how to stream these, then it may be longer. Because I don't know where we're going to find copies of like the 1960.
Yeah. I was about to say.
It
I was
might
literally
be-
about to say we could go to Blockbuster, but
It might be through like Amazon Prime rentals or something.
Yeah, if you
We'll
just
find-
search it, you can find it. Or
Anyway.
my friend, go to YouTube.
Nora, would you like to sing us out?
Yeah, I feel like my singing out might be really cringy, but I also don't care, and I love it.
I want to hear it.
I want to hear it.
Thank you. I have a great idea for this. Okay, so wait, how's it go? Okay, so we're done with the whodunit film, and I am singing to Pink Panther. I don't know if they referenced it in the film, but they should have.
think they
because I love those
did.
movies. Well, I'm glad they did. I did not catch it. I was listening
certainly
to
did.
Chris Evans and his Biscoff cookies because it was amazing. Thank you.